obviously those writings were posted, and the timing of that, we're wondering whether you've seen indication that someone connected to him might have been associated with posting those?
So a lot of questions.
Okay.
Let me try and break it down. Chief, I think you addressed some of this yesterday when we first initially briefed the public on this matter. There was nothing in criminal records or in our holdings that indicated that this person was previously known to us or would have popped on our radar or MPD's radar. We know that he originated outside of the district, came in for a conference on May 20th, and was a resident in the Chicagoland area. That's what we know about him currently. As far as associates, relatives, the reason we're checking associates and relatives is to put all the pieces together. There's a lot of unknowns. So known contacts, known relatives, known associates, these are basic investigative steps to put a picture, composite picture together of who the subject is, what did people know about him, and who was he closest to. From that, we'll build out the investigation. Aside from that, I couldn't answer more.
Go ahead.
Hi. A quick question. I'm sorry, Keith Alexander, Washington Post. Were you seeking the death penalty? Can you talk a little bit about that? And also, the night of May 20th, any idea where he stayed at all?
I think that we have an idea of that, but let me just say that, you know, the president and the attorney general have both indicated that, you know, in cases where the death penalty is warranted and seems appropriate, we will use it. It's far too early to say whether that is the case, but this is a death penalty eligible case.
And what about the night of May 20th?
Do you want to talk about that, Chief?
No, I think it's still a part of the investigation.
Definitely still part of the investigation.
Yeah, I don't want to get into the weeds. I think that right now he's been arraigned. He's been presented. Excuse me.
It's in progress.
It's in progress. Okay. Yes, sir.
Can you just, Mr. Johnson, can you just clarify one thing you said? You said he was in town for a conference. Was that a different conference than the one, than the event? And could you tell us more about what that particular event is and another?
So we're still looking into the nature of the conference, we believe associated with his work, and we are contacting his employer and trying to figure out what the nature of his job was. We believe the reason for his flight was related to a conference for his work.
What's the nature of that work?
I don't have it at the top of my head.
And then the other question is, he seems to have been sort of stalking, I forgot what the word was, pacing in front of this event. And he seems to have had pretty easy egress in and out of the place. What does that say about the level of security, and are you investigating that for, and Mayor Bowser, are you considering increasing security around these sorts of events and institutions?
So regarding the movements of the subject, obviously still very much a part of the investigation, composite of collected videos, witness statements to put a full picture together before I would comment on any one particular act that he may or may not have been observed doing. As far as security goes for a private entity, I wouldn't comment on that. And as far as posture goes, I would defer to the mayor.
I think that the director is correct. This was not a event that falls into our special events category, where MPD and other government agencies have a stood-up posture. This was a relatively small event at a museum, so MPD or the government agencies wouldn't stand up additional resources unless they were requested or unless we got a call for service. More than that, I will say that we have had a local program and a federal program that have helped institutions, faith institutions, and others who have been concerned about violence, anti-Semitism, or other hateful speech and rhetoric. And very recently, we have issued grants, and we have issued grants over the last several years to those institutions to harden their security, add cameras, add additional security, and I believe that the museum has done some of those things.
I'm going to sneak one last thing in.
All right, I just want to follow up with this. We've been advised that the defendant has appeared in court. He's had an attorney appointed. He's been advised by the judge that he could be punished by death or by life. And of course, we sought detention. The defendant waived his right to a detention hearing and concedes to detention. And right now, a preliminary hearing is set for June 18th at 1 o'clock. So it is done.
One clarification, Mr. Benson. You are not ruling out that this manifesto might have been written by this gentleman, right?
We don't know.
We don't know, and that's still very much a part of the investigation.
Okay. You good? All right. Thank you all. Yes, sir. One more.
Yes. Were any MPD officers working details at this event last night, perhaps off duty? And then the follow-up to that, when you say, the FBI said a targeted event, do you believe the victims were targeted or simply the event was targeted?
So let me answer your first question, Mark. MPD was not assigned to that event. As you know, you've heard me say on last night, there were security officers assigned to the event, but not Metropolitan Police Department members.
On or off duty?
On or off duty.
Okay. And then the targeting, was that the event that was targeted or these two individuals specifically targeted?
We're not saying at this time.
Yes. Chief, one question that people are interested in is that it was announced and fairly well known that the Jewish Museum a short time ago opened a major LGBT exhibition, and we were wondering if the investigation is looking into whether the suspects might have known something about that or whether
Sir, we are looking into absolutely everything. There is so much information we're looking at, and I must tell you, coming from New York, I've never seen the cooperation and the collaboration that I'm seeing here. It was immediate, it was instant, it was coordinated, and my hat's off to this area. And we're going to clean it up. Thank you. Is that you?
Hey everybody, I'm Yasmin in for Hallie Jackson tonight. You were just hearing from officials there in Washington, D.C. A lot of still outstanding questions, to say the least, about the killing of two Israeli embassy staffers last night outside of the Jewish Museum in Washington. The man suspected of the killing making his first appearance in federal court just moments ago, charged with the murder of foreign officials, the death of a person through use of a firearm, discharge of a firearm during a crime of violence, and first-degree murder. Elias Rodriguez allegedly approaching a group outside the Jewish Museum in Washington after an event last night, pulling a gun and shooting a young couple at close range, killing them both. The suspect reportedly shouting, I did it, free Palestine, I did it for Gaza. The victims, their names, Yaron Lashinsky and Sarah Milgram, they worked together at the Israeli embassy in Washington, and according to the Israeli ambassador, Yaron had just bought a ring, planning to get engaged next week in Jerusalem. We have got this covered for you. Overseas, we have Danielle Hamamdin joining us from London. First, though, I want to go to NBC News national law enforcement and intelligence correspondent Tom Winter. We now know, Tom, that this is a death penalty eligible case. Right. We heard about some of the details of this suspect, some of his movements, the security that was there when these two victims were in fact shot. Walk us through what else we learned during this presser.
Sure. So in the course of that press conference, the charging document, a criminal complaint filed by an FBI special agent, was docketed with the court, and it provides a detailed timeline, at least what they've found so far in the course of the investigation. Big asterisk on all of this here, Yasmin, is the fact that there will likely, and they've alluded to this at the press conference, be additional charges, and there'll be additional information that comes out. This is just to put the charges on him and order him detained. A judge has ordered him detained, and he'll next be in court on June 18th. As far as the specifics of what happened last night, and you're looking at some of the investigative research that happened today as the FBI went in and executed a search warrant. Members of their SWAT team going into his residence in Chicago. What they say happened last night in Washington, D.C. The details, very troubling. These two individuals, apparently he spots them as they're leaving this event. He goes past them and turns around and shoots at both of them in their backs. At some point, Sarah Milgram actually gets up to try to leave. I'll spare some of the details, but he effectively hunts her down, according to the allegations, and continues to fire. 21 shell casings found at the scene. The gun was found slide locked, meaning that it had expelled or exhausted all of its ammo. A magazine was found empty. So this incident somehow could have been even worse if he had more ammunition on him. He was then, as you laid out, did tell police officers that he, quote, he did it upon seeking police out after he went inside that museum.
Did we hear anything about whether or not these two victims were actually targeted these two victims specifically, and also more so when it comes to security, what additional security measures are going to be put into place, especially places that could feasibly be targets to copycats, as we've seen before?
So what law enforcement officials said at that press conference is this event was targeted, but not necessarily these two specific individuals. It appears that he was outside ahead of time, according to an eyewitness report, and then saw these two crossing the street as he was approaching the museum. So that appears to be how their interaction occurred. It appears that they were just tragically in the very wrong place at the very wrong time. As far as things going forward, D.C. Law enforcement officials have said that they're going to step up the patrols in that city, that they're going to have a large police presence at Jewish community centers and other faith-based organizations. We're seeing the exact same thing here in New York with the NYPD's Critical Response Command, a terrorism-focused counterterrorism bureau-led team. They have heavy weapons, semi-automatic rifles. They will be present outside of Jewish houses of worship in this city, high-profile Israeli government sites as well. That police presence have been pretty steady since October 7th, but certainly the addition of these heavy weapons and heavy armored teams that are specifically trained to deal with a threat just like this one, somebody trying to use a gun or use some other sort of weapon to carry out an attack against the Jewish community or the Israeli government facilities in this city. They are certainly prepared for that, and they have not been bashful today about putting out the fact that they are there and they are there to stop any potential additional threats in New York City, Yasmin.
Tom Winter, thank you for being on this for us. We appreciate you. I want to bring in Danielle Hamamdjian, who's standing by for us in London. And listen, there has been, Danielle, understandably, a lot of finger-pointing amidst all this, especially amongst the international community. And the way, obviously, now we're seeing this all spill over here in the United States from the murder, the killing of these two individuals outside of a Jewish museum, the attack on civil rights, on students here on university campuses across the country. What has been the international reaction so far that we have been hearing?
Yeah, Yasmin, the shooting was widely condemned by global leaders, but as you say, it was also quickly politicized. The Israeli foreign minister said that this shooting was the result of, quote, toxic anti-Semitic incitement against Israel and Jews since October 7th. Incitement, he said, even from European leaders. Now, many would counter that by saying, look, there's a distinction between anti-Semitism and criticism of the Israeli government and its policies, particularly when it comes to Gaza. France responded by saying that the accusation is unjustified and outrageous. Earlier this week, of course, France, the UK and Canada warned Israel that it would take concrete actions if it goes ahead with the expansion of military operations in Gaza, calling the humanitarian situation there intolerable. Benjamin Netanyahu accused them of being on the wrong side of history and humanity tonight, he did. But the finger-pointing is also happening within Israel, Yasmin. One opposition leader caused quite the controversy earlier this week when he said that Israel was risking becoming a pariah state and that a sane country does not kill babies as a pastime. And this all got lost in the day's events, but just yesterday, in the occupied West Bank, the IDF fired warning shots at a diplomatic delegation of 32 countries. The IDF said that they had deviated from the approved route, but as you can imagine, that triggered outrage among those countries who were there to assess the humanitarian situation on the ground. Yasmin.
Danielle Hamamdjian for us. Thank you, Danielle. Appreciate it. We are watching another major escalation happening here at home, this war between the Trump administration and the nation's oldest and wealthiest university. I'm talking about Harvard University. You got the White House moving to bar Harvard from enrolling any international students, something that would be a major blow to university where more than a quarter of the students come from outside the United States. It is just the latest strike in this battle between the administration and Harvard. I want to get you up to speed on this. The Trump administration made a series of demands in early April as part of their investigation into dozens of universities over allegations of anti-Semitism. Harvard rejected those demands, leading the Trump administration to pull $2 billion in federal funding. Harvard sued to get that money back, a case, by the way, that is still pending. We got NBC legal analyst Danny Zavala standing by for us. We wanted to start with Antonia Hilton, who's kind of going to bring us up to speed on the reporting of all this. And really, Antonia, how Harvard is responding, because I got to say, this thing dropped around 2:30, and Harvard's response was pretty quick.
Well, that's because I think in large part Harvard saw this coming, this potential escalation. You know, as you just alluded to, this has been building for months and months here. Some Trump administration officials were a bit surprised, actually, that Harvard said no to that initial demand letter, that they moved forward with a lawsuit that some experts think could go on for years.
A lot of us were surprised.
And a lot of people were surprised. And so now they're kind of trying to get Harvard back to the table, it seems, by taking this next step here. But Harvard has released a statement already calling this unlawful. They say the government's action is unlawful. This retaliatory action threatens serious harm to the Harvard community and our country and undermines Harvard's academic and research mission. Some of what they're alluding to there, too, Yasmin, is that actually the money that comes in from international students, it's not actually the international students who are helped by this. They're often paying full price, full dollar to come to Harvard and other universities around the United States to the tune of tens of billions of dollars when you're talking about higher ed here in the country. But they specifically sort of undergird, subsidize the ability to offer financial aid. So the people who are going to be hurt when that 27% of the campus body is gone is actually poor, underserved, marginalized Americans of all backgrounds, races, and belief systems who are trying to have their American dream and come to schools like Harvard. They're the ones who may be told, actually, we can't afford for you. You've already said yes to coming this fall. But we no longer are able to support you. That's kind of what's facing them at this moment.
I got to say, Danny, when this dropped, I was shocked because the non-legal mind in me thought, how is this even legal? Right? You are saying essentially that foreign nationals cannot be admitted, cannot be enrolled at university, and the foreign nationals that are currently attending your university have to transfer. More than 1 in 4 students at Harvard University right now are foreign nationals. How can this even happen?
Here's how it works. Universities have to be certified by a program that's run by ICE in order to accept international students. That's F1 and M1 visas. Obviously, ICE is within the executive branch. And yes, ICE can terminate or not renew that certification, but they have to do so for lawful reasons. Some examples include misreporting about these international students, fraud, something like that. So yes, the executive branch can, in theory, terminate a university's certification. However, they can't do so arbitrarily. And by the way, I use that word arbitrarily for a reason. I expect that'll be at the vanguard of Harvard's opposition, is a law called the Administrative Procedure Act, which essentially says that the government agencies can't take actions that are arbitrary and capricious, essentially without showing their work. So the first line of battle is going to be, show us why this was done. And the action can still violate things like due process, and it can even violate First Amendment protection.
I was just speaking to a Harvard professor before we came on the air, and he said to me, essentially, you've got a lot of students that are currently attending Harvard that are really scared right now about what's going to happen to their future. Not even kids that are enrolled. They're supposed to be enrolled in next semester, in the fall semester. What would you tell them, Danny?
Well, this is interesting. This kind of thing has actually happened before during the first Trump administration when he tried to revoke certification because universities were allowing international students to take their classes online during COVID. The argument being, well, why should we let you be here if you are taking your classes online? You could take them from Moscow or wherever you are. Right. So this has happened before. And in fact, the administration eventually backed off. So we have some precedent for a similar kind of action. But the key here is, what do the Code of Federal Regulations allow ICE to do, or specifically the program that's going to revoke the certification, and how can the universities fight back? Because they can fight back. They are entitled to due process and judicial review of this determination.
And it seems like that's what they're doing. Antonia, I just quickly got to ask you about the other student that we've been talking a lot about, and that is Mahmoud Khalil, right, who was supposed to walk at his graduation just a couple of weeks ago. Instead, his wife and newborn baby walked instead to accept his diploma. He had a detention hearing today. What happened?
Yes, and actually I'm waiting on a response back from his lawyers, because my understanding is parts of that hearing may still be ongoing right now, even though it's got started pretty early this morning. This is a pivotal hearing in his immigration case, so about his ability to stay in the United States, his future here, separate, of course, from the federal case being argued in New Jersey, where that's basically his habeas case. And so, you know, what happened, like we understand today, is his wife and newborn son traveled there. He got to meet them through a sort of screen, but not actually hold and interact with his son. And his team is basically bringing forward witnesses who are arguing that he cannot be deported, that A, it's not just and not right, but also that actually to deport him to a place like Syria would put his life at risk. But what happens in the immigration court system, you know, it's very hard to win there. Yeah. So we'll see.
Antonia, Danny, thank you guys both. I appreciate it. In another courtroom today, when one of the biggest names in Sean Combs' trial told the jury that he believes Combs was behind the torching of his Porsche with a Molotov cocktail. These are the images prosecutors showed in court today of Kid Cudi's car. You can see the damage there to the seat, the door, and the top of the car. Kid Cudi, whose real name is Scott Miscudi, dated Cassie Ventura over a decade ago. Miscudi and Ventura have both said their relationship prompted aggressive threats from Sean Combs. Miscudi's testimony today aimed at the racketeering charge against Combs. Prosecutors say he used his money and his power to orchestrate this big criminal enterprise in which his employees helped enable and cover up Diddy's elaborate drug-fueled sex marathons that he called, quote, freak-offs. Combs has pled not guilty to the charges and says the sexual encounters were consensual. Chloe Melas is outside court for us to talk more about this. Chloe, at one point, Miscudi compared Combs to a Marvel supervillain. A lot of major moments throughout his testimony today. Walk us through some of them.
Yeah. Yeah, hey there. So I was actually in the courthouse, and that was a moment of levity in what was a very somber testimony, sobering testimony. And at one point, Kid Cudi, like you said, when he went to go meet Sean Combs to talk about how both of them were dating Cassie at the same time, unbeknownst to both of them, after this alleged break-in at his house, after Combs allegedly orchestrated for a Molotov cocktail to be thrown into his car, causing it to explode. He says he met him at Soho House, which is a very popular members-only club in L.A., and when he walked in, Combs was looking out the window with his arms behind his back, and he looked like a Marvel supervillain. So it was in that moment that everyone in the courtroom started to laugh. But otherwise, you know, he did say that he truly believes that Combs broke into his home and also, again, was behind the explosion in his car, although Combs' legal team really pushing back, saying, what concrete evidence do you have? I do want you to listen to a little bit of what Kid Cudi posted today, or posted on X. Take a listen.
This is a stressful situation. I'm glad it's behind me. And, yeah, I love y'all, man.
Yeah, so I mean, like, you're hearing from him in his own words today, and he, you know, was very strong on the stand, very likable. It was clear that he didn't understand how it works in a federal court, that this was like probably one of his first times, if ever, maybe his first time testifying, because he would give these long answers and the judge would have to tell him, like, listen, you really got to, like, stick to what the prosecutors or stick to what the defense team is asking you. But yeah, I mean, that's really the first time that we've heard him speak publicly. For him to take to social media today is actually quite surprising.
I know some other witnesses testified today as well, including people that worked for Sean Combs. What did they have to say?
So we heard from his former executive assistant this morning who said that, look, I'm actually torn to be here right now. I wanted to plead the fifth, but prosecutors, they issued a subpoena, so I had to come down here and I had to testify. And he talked about how he actually quit working for Combs after two instances, one that took place on an airplane in which he says that he felt as though Combs was being violent with Ventura, breaking glasses on the plane and screaming at her, although he didn't actually see visible injuries on Ventura or Combs actually strike her. He also talked about another instance at Combs' Miami residence in which he threw decorative apples at a woman he was dating at the time named Gina. And we've also heard from a hotel employee, a makeup artist, and we're expecting to hear from some other individuals when the trial resumes on Tuesday.
All right, certainly much more to come from this. Claim a loss. Thank you. We got new details tonight about who was on board that small plane that crashed into a San Diego neighborhood. A music industry agent now confirming to be among those killed. A spokesperson for Sound Talent Group confirming to us tonight that its co-founder Dave Shapiro and 2 other employees have died. No one on the ground of this chaotic scene appears to be amongst the victims. The roofs of several homes, collapsed cars on the street, completely charred, people forced to evacuate in the middle of the night.
Come on, let's go!
Let's go!
I mean, it's incredible to see the flames over homes in that video as people try to make it out alive. Here is what we know at this hour. The incident was reported just around 4 a.m., around the time it was supposed to land. The plane was a Cessna 550. It had been flying through some dense fog before crashing. 8 people on the ground were, in fact, injured. Liz Kreutz is joining us from San Diego on all this. What more, Liz, first, do we know about the folks that were on board?
Yeah, hey, Yasmin. Well, we're just getting some details now. According to the fire department, there were at least 2 people killed. They're not confirming how many people were on the plane, but they have said they don't believe there were any survivors of those on board. But we're getting some other information from different agencies now, including the FAA, that's confirmed to NBC that they believe there were 6 people on board. And then there's that music group there saying that they believe 3 of their employees were on that plane and died. So some information now coming in about what happened. Obviously, really tragic details. The miracle here is that nobody on the ground was killed. And just behind me before, you could see the house here. The fire truck just came in. You can see part of the house. Investigators are here sort of going in the backyard around. But this is the home that the plane crashed into. And even the family that was inside were able to escape and made it out safely.
Yeah, it seems miraculous that they were able to escape a crash like that into their home while they were sleeping in the middle of the night. As we're talking about this ongoing investigation, obviously you think to the flight data recorder to understand exactly what took place. Do we know if investigators have been able to retain that and any more they know about the possibility of why this thing actually crashed?
Yeah, not yet. They haven't been able to get it yet, but the NTSB is here on scene now. They're going to be here for the next couple of days, and they say that that's will be part of the investigation, trying to get that plane recordings. But they're going to be here preserving the scene. And right now they do particularly believe that there's a focus on some power lines a couple miles from here that the plane may have clipped on the way in before crashing into this home as it was trying to make its way into a local airport. That is part of the investigation. And right now it also seems to be the weather. It was very foggy, dense fog, limited visibility as that plane was coming in here.
Liz Kreutz, thanks for being on this for us. Appreciate it. So all eyes turning towards the Senate tonight to push through President Trump's so-called big, beautiful agenda bill that squeezed through the House by just 1 vote. Senators are saying they're definitely going to make some changes to this mega bill, which could lead to more clashes inside the Republican Party. And things could get dicey because any changes that the senators actually make would have to get approval back to the House, right? House Republicans already made changes to things like Medicaid work requirements, quicker phasing out of clean energy tax credits, raising the cap on that state and local tax deduction known as SALT. And it's not just the Democrats unhappy with the bill. You've also got the bond market. It's a key bellwether for our economy. It's been getting pretty rattled that the bill could raise national debt by more than $2 trillion. We're going to get into what that could mean for you, your money, in a second with NBC's Brian Chung standing by for us. We wanted to start on the Hill with Mel Zanona to bring us up to date on all things Senate as of this moment. This was a fight to the end to get this bill passed in the House. Are we expecting the same when it comes to the Senate?
Well, I will say the Senate's fights tends to be a little bit more tame than what we see in the House. But no doubt there is going to be a huge internal debate inside the Senate GOP over this piece of legislation. They have their own statewide constituencies. They have their own priorities over the Senate. And so they really want to put their own stamp on this bill. And already we've heard a number of Republicans coming out and pouring cold water on Speaker Mike Johnson's goal of getting this bill to President Donald Trump's desk by the July 4th holiday. Just take a listen to Republican Senator Tom Tillis.
I think that's an optimistic number. I mean, you got to think in terms of legislative time. In the same way that Speaker Johnson has a carefully crafted compromise, we have to come up with a carefully crafted compromise because we, too, have people at either end of the spectrum who have concerns, and we've got to get 51 votes.
And some of the changes that we could see over in the Senate include Medicaid cuts as well as the repeal of the clean energy tax breaks. There's a lot more concern among Republicans in the Senate over those changes. But what's clear is that the final product in the Senate is likely to look a lot different than what they passed in the House.
So Democrats have kind of gone to lengths at this point, Mel, to point out the negative impacts if the bill actually gets across the finish line, saying essentially that voters will make their voices known once they see the impacts of some of this bill, right? Could they actually see the impacts of this bill by the time they go to the polls?
Yeah, well, you're absolutely right. The provisions in this bill will have impacts on Americans, but most of these changes are actually not going to kick in until after the midterm elections, which is probably by design. One of the most significant areas where there have been changes underneath this House bill is to Medicaid. And starting in the end of 2026, there are now going to be work requirements for able-bodied adults who don't have dependents in order to enroll in Medicaid. That is going to be a centerpiece of the Democratic messaging. The nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office estimates that over 8 million people could lose their health insurance under these provisions. And so that is going to be a central line of the Democratic attack. We'll see if that message breaks through, given that those requirements won't kick in until after the midterm election. But no doubt, Democrats see this as a political gift for their party.
Yeah, 8 million is a heck of a lot of Americans that could be losing health insurance. Melanie Zanona for us. Thank you. Appreciate it. Want to bring in Brian Chung to talk more about the money side of all this. And I talked about here kind of the bond markets, right? We know Wall Street, we know the White House. They pay a lot of attention to the bond markets. And we've seen a lot of turmoil with the economy, especially when it comes to trade. Do you see this kind of throwing yet another wrench into the economy?
Yeah, well, you know, with the stock market, we've recuperated basically all of the losses since Liberation Day. So on an equities front, we're all right. But the bond market is now getting a lot of attention because bond yields are higher than they were even when the president flinched on his tariff policies. Now, I want to point out that without getting into the 101 of all of this, basically when bond yields go up, that means that the bond price is down. The bond price is down because people don't want it as much. So basically with U.S. Treasuries, which is the debt that we sell to the rest of the world, that appetite hasn't been there as of late because of these concerns over whether or not the United States over the long term can pay their bills, as underscored no further than the downgrade that we saw from Moody's ratings just last week, where they said that the U.S. fiscal performance is likely to deteriorate relative to other countries. So again, it's the concern over the U.S. debt that is big, that is part of that, especially when you consider this bill that is going to further add to the fiscal debt in what is supposed to be an administration that was going to be more aggressive with DOGE in cutting back on these things. I think that the overall Wall Street feel is even in a Republican administration like this one, they can't lower the debt with a bill like this, then what administration?
Well, and that's why I even think about the messaging, right? If you're increasing the debt by $2 trillion, considering what they came in when it comes to the messaging of what was actually going to happen to the economy versus what they're actually doing. And then we talk about the effects, right? And as Mel actually pointed out, that there's a possibility 8 million or so Americans could feasibly lose their access to health insurance. How could this affect the wallets? How could this affect our pocketbooks?
Yeah, well, I mean, we touched on health insurance, but again, this is a big bill, right? So that's part of the branding. There are other provisions as well. I think a big one that is a big focus among Republicans that also underscores the divide is the SALT tax deduction. So you talk about $40,000. That would be the proposed cap. Right now, it's at $10,000. That would be very impactful for people that live in high tax areas because it's state and local tax deductions. So you can deduct more if you're getting taxed more. So in areas like New Jersey and California, that would be a lot more impactful. There's also this proposal to eliminate taxes on tips and overtime, increasing the child tax credit. They also want to end some of these clean energy tax breaks that were passed by the Biden administration under the Inflation Reduction Act. There are a lot of different provisions here, but of course, as Melanie pointed out, there's still some ways to go before this actually becomes law. So could anything change between now and then? That is an open question.
And I think we've had kind of this repeated conversation in which a lot of Democrats will hope that, yes, voters remember what happens when they go to the polls, but that is so many months out. And do they actually have kind of the long-term memory to stick with?
And real quickly, the CBO does say that when it comes to who would benefit from this, actually household resources would be down 4% for the lowest earners, but up 2% for the highest earners. That's worth noting as well.
Got it. Brian Chung, thank you. Appreciate it. Still to come on the show, everybody, the torrential rain ravaging rural Australia turning deadly. We're going to tell you when folks there can expect some relief. And the death of the penny, why the feds are saying bye to the copper coin. All right, we've got this new report out, just released this hour, showing that cancer deaths related to alcohol have doubled in the last 3 decades. At the same time, U.S. cancer deaths overall have fallen by about 35%, according to the American Cancer Society. The alcohol-related cancers are specifically breast, liver, colorectal, and various oral cancers. One oncologist putting it pretty bluntly, this is really driving home the point that people are dying from cancer due to alcohol, they said. Dr. Natalie Azar is joining us now with more on this. This is astounding to me, I got to say, and it kind of caused a lot of kerfuffle in the newsroom as we were discussing this, because everybody has kind of this baseline risk of developing cancer. The question is how much, right? So when we're thinking and talking about alcohol and how much we should actually be consuming, is it zero?
Well, the short answer is if you don't want alcohol to increase your personal risk of cancer, you would need to abstain from alcohol completely. At least for breast cancer, we know as little as 1 to 2 drinks a week can increase a woman's risk.
1 to 2?
Yeah. Yeah. Which, when that news started coming out a couple of years ago, I mean, I think we all sort of went, oh, really?
Yeah.
You know, because we all...
Another thing.
Exactly. But certainly, you know, the amount can and does correlate with risk. So the heavier drinkers are obviously at a much greater risk, let's say, for liver cancer and things like that. But sadly, even a small amount can increase the risk, especially for breast.
But what's interesting to me also is all of the studies and the stories that we have done in the past about, for instance, the positive effects of drinking red wine, right? 1 glass of red wine, it's good for your cardiovascular health. It's good for your health, for your heart health. Is there a difference between the type of alcohol, for instance, that one is consuming?
So no, and just to be clear about the whole idea that alcohol could actually promote cardiovascular health, I think that's kind of, we've moved away from that.
Right.
And debunked that, I think, to a fairly good degree at this point, that no cardiologist is going to say start drinking red wine to improve your cardiovascular health. Sure, there might be some things like resveratrol and certain antioxidants that could be beneficial, but the risk doesn't outweigh that benefit. In terms of what type of alcohol, no, it doesn't matter. A serving of alcohol is a serving of alcohol, whether it's a spirit or beer or wine. It doesn't have to do with what alcohol you drink. It has to do with the amount of alcohol you drink.
Okay, so you also talked about breast cancer. 1 to 2 drinks possibly could raise your risk of developing breast cancer, but I mentioned colorectal cancer, for instance, liver cancer as well. Is there a disparity between men and women and the amount of consumption?
Yeah, there is. Generally speaking, women tend to experience the negative health effects of alcohol more significantly than men do. Now, what's interesting about this, though, is that this, you know, twice the amount of deaths related to alcohol use, the predominant group that was seen for this was men versus women, as well as people over the age of 55. And the reason really is that it takes decades for this to happen, right? And men traditionally were the bigger drinkers than women, but unfortunately women in general will suffer the negative health effects of alcohol more than men do.
So if you're recommending to your patient what to do, what do you say?
I say that each person has to do their own risk assessment. If you're trying to do absolutely every single solitary thing you can to reduce your risk of cancer, then you're not going to drink alcohol. If you're one of those people who says everything in moderation, and I'm hoping that my healthy diet and my exercise is what I tell myself, offset some of that risk.
I tell myself.
These are decisions you have to make.
Yeah,
in
and how
your
much
life.
stress you have in your life.
Yeah, all those things.
You want to do on a Friday night. Okay.
Exactly.
Dr. Natalie Azar, thank you. Appreciate it. All right, want to get you over to the 5 things our team thinks you should know about tonight. Number 1, the FBI telling people tonight there's no threat to public safety after a security officer shot a woman outside CIA headquarters in Virginia. She apparently crashed her car into a gate before officers fired. We don't know why she did this. The woman is in the hospital now getting her gunshot wounds treated. Number 2, take a look at this. Deadly flash floods pummeling Australia's southeast coast right now. The flooding already killing at least 3 people so far and leaving tens of thousands stranded. And the worst still possibly to come, with officials there warning of more devastating rain for at least another 24 hours. Number 3, FDA advisors deciding late today COVID-19 vaccines need to be updated for the fall to target new strains, even as new Trump administration policies are throwing vaccine eligibility into question. But the FDA is stopping short of recommending annual COVID boosters for all Americans older than 6 months. Number 4, if you still have some pennies, pinch them because the Treasury Department just ordered its last batch of them as they move to stop making the coin altogether. Remember, President Trump said he wanted to stop printing the penny to cut down government spending. And number 5, 46-year-old boxing legend Manny Pacquiao coming out of retirement this summer. He's the oldest welterweight world champion in history, winning at 40 years old in 2019. He's going to face off with Mario Barrios at the WBC welterweight championships on July 19th. All right, when we come back, the wild video showing the moment a driver crashed into a gas station to get away from cops, plus how a wedding dress found its way home after getting lost in a tornado. In just the last hour, President Trump and Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. speaking at the White House after the release of the Make America Healthy Again report.
As we mark a historic milestone in our mission to make America healthy again, Ma has become hot.
The report digs deep into what the problems are while not really providing a ton of solutions, with Secretary Kennedy painting a bleak picture, writing, quote, "Today's children are the sickest generation in American history," and saying we've got a crisis of chronic disease in kids because of ultra-processed foods, chemical exposures, lack of physical activity, stress, and excessive use of prescription drugs. Yamiche Alcindor is joining us now with more on this. Yamiche, it's great to see you. The report, it casts doubt also on the current vaccine schedule and medications deemed safe by most in mainstream medicine. Were there any solutions offered in this report?
Well, it's a key question. What we know is that this was a 69-page report, and our team at NBC News combed through it. And what they found was that it outlined a number of problems. As you said, ultra-processed food, too much of a sedentary lifestyle, they said, is contributing to children being sick. They also talked about the fact that there needs to be more looked at when it comes to prescription drugs and how they're being prescribed. That being said, it was very light on concrete solutions. And part of that is because RFK said there is now going to be another report in about 100 days laying out actual solutions and action items and recommendations. But the interesting thing there is that the health secretary is also saying that there's no budget for this initiative. So if he does actually even come out with these actions, which again, he did not do really in this report, it's a big question of how the government would pay for any of the things that it recommends, given the fact that while the White House and congressional Republicans are putting through this now multi-trillion-dollar bill through Congress, they're not clear where they're going to get the money for these actual health issues here. Yasmin.
I also understand there was an interesting back and forth at the White House briefing this afternoon as well from someone that we all know quite well.
There was a very interesting back and forth. The White House has instituted this seat called the New Media Seat. And today we had Jillian Michaels there. She, of course, is a celebrity fitness expert and was co-host of NBC's The Biggest Loser. Take a listen to her exchange with the White House press secretary.
As a Maha mom yourself, how do you interpret the significance of this report in terms of delivering measurable health improvements for Americans and their kids, and what specific actions does the administration plan to take in response to it?
Sure. Well, thank you for the question. When the president took office, he promised to make this country healthy again. And the president signed an executive order directing this commission. And now, less than 100 days later, the commission is delivering this report. It's another promise made and another promise kept.
So, a lot of people come through the White House, and today it was Jillian Michaels. Yasmin.
Jillian Michaels, a new person every day, it seems. Yamiche Alcindor for us. Thank you. Appreciate it. Someone who's a constant at the White House these days. All right, NBC covers hundreds of stories every day. And because it's tough to read, watch, or listen to all of them, our bureau teams have done it for you. This is what they tell us is going down in their regions in a segment that we call The Local. From our Western Bureau, look at this. A driver in Colorado crashing into a gas station parking lot while trying to flee from police. Police say the driver was out of jail on bond for an unrelated crime. 3 people inside the car were taken to the hospital, with 1 seriously hurt. The driver was charged with a DUI. From our Southeast Bureau, a woman in Kentucky just found her missing wedding dress after her home was destroyed by a deadly tornado. A neighbor somehow found the dress a couple of blocks away, and miraculously, it's okay. The owner says the dress is now so much more meaningful since she lost her home. from our Northeast Bureau. Take a look. Firefighters in Connecticut rescuing baby kittens stuck in a storm drain. You can see the little guys right here. We don't know how they got there. Thankfully, the kittens are safe and getting treated by a local vet. All right, to tonight's original now, with in-depth reporting on a topic that we have been watching tonight. It's education. With a federal judge blocking the Trump administration from dismantling the Department of Education and ordering that fired employees be reinstated, the White House says it's going to appeal the ruling. As this court fight plays out, some parents of students with special needs worry that without the DOE's funding and support, their children's future are on the line. NBC's Rahima Ellis has more.
Education is under attack. Across the country, anxiety is growing as President Trump pushes to shut down the Department of Education.
I will sign an executive order to begin eliminating the Federal Department of Education once and for all.
It's particularly unsettling for parents of the 7.5 million special needs students nationwide, all who rely on the federal government to provide supplemental funds and oversight of how states and local school districts use those dollars to help educate children in need.
A lot of parents are scrambling right now to figure out where they stand. They're not really sure what's going to happen from here.
It's really scary for parents.
Nobody really knows how the dust is going to settle on this.
Trump recently announcing the DOE's special needs program would be moved to the Department of Health and Human Services, raising more concern because that department fired 10,000 workers.
Employees turned away, told they no longer had jobs.
New Jersey mom Megan Beerley's daughter is dyslexic.
Dismantling the oversight that oversees these things and provides protections for our children. It's really scary to just have that ripped out from under us.
Her family spent thousands of dollars putting her daughter through testing, then transferring her to 2 different private schools specializing in children with disabilities.
When I look at kind of this journey and the cost of it all, I'm not willing to let go of this and have another family have to follow it and endure what we have.
Texas mom Jasmine Dean agrees. She has 3 children with dyslexia and says none of her kids got the full support they needed from her school district, even after she filed a complaint through the DOE's Office of Civil Rights, a division swamped with 12,000 pending investigations into civil rights violations in schools, half of which involve students with disabilities. Dean filed a complaint against her school district for discrimination.
And here we are 3 years later, 4 years later, still waiting for the results.
Her son's education, she says, was always on the line.
He has not been served through public education.
Frustrated, Dean eventually taking matters into her own hands, opening a school for kids with dyslexia. Still, the school receives some financial support from the DOE.
We need more people focused on it, not less people.
Senator Chris Van Hollen from Maine is now calling on Congress to take action on education.
Moving the special education programs out of the Department of Education and into the Department of Health and Human Services undermines the entire purpose of the IDA program in special education, which is to make sure kids with disabilities have equal opportunities.
Acknowledging under the original law, the funding goals were never fully met. He wants Congress to recommit to the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act by reintroducing it as the IDEA Full Funding Act. But what happens while parents wait for Congress to do something?
It's not entirely clear how this effect is going to shake out in every school district.
Mike Hansen is with the Brookings Institution, a nonpartisan education think tank.
Despite the president's rhetoric about giving the power back to the states, it's actually always been in state and local government's hands. Whether or not they want to follow Trump's lead on some of these policies and executive orders, or versus whether they want to be a little bit more resistant to those orders, that's going to vary by different states.
I believe that there is a place for a Department of Education. I do believe that this is an opportunity to pivot and change.
Tonight, equal access to education for students with special needs facing a critical test. Rahima Ellis, NBC News.
And thank you to Rahima for that. When we come back in tonight's breakdown, the hellish hurricane season millions of Americans could be in for, just as folks pick up the pieces of their lives from last year. All right, to tonight's original now, with in-depth reporting on a topic that we have been watching tonight. It's education. With a federal judge blocking the Trump administration from dismantling the Department of Education and ordering that fired employees be reinstated, the White House says it's going to appeal the ruling. As this court fight plays out, some parents of students with special needs worry that without the DOE's funding and support, their children's future are on the line. NBC's Rahima Ellis has more.
Education is under attack.
Across the country, anxiety is growing as President Trump pushes to shut down the Department of Education.
I will sign an executive order to begin eliminating the Federal Department of Education once and for all.
It's particularly unsettling for parents of the 7.5 million special needs students nationwide, all who rely on the federal government to provide supplemental funds and oversight of how states and local school districts use those dollars to help educate children in need.
A lot of parents are scrambling right now to figure out where they stand. They're not really sure what's going to happen from here.
It's really scary for parents.
Nobody really knows how the dust is going to settle on this.
Trump recently announcing the DOE's special needs program would be moved to the Department of Health and Human Services, raising more concern because that department fired 10,000 workers.
Employees turned away, told they no longer had jobs.
New Jersey mom Megan Beerley's daughter is dyslexic.
Dismantling the oversight that oversees these things and provides protections for our children. It's really scary to just have that ripped out from under us.
Her family spent thousands of dollars putting her daughter through testing, then transferring her to 2 different private schools specializing in children with disabilities.
When I look at kind of this journey and the cost of it all, I'm not willing to let go of this and have another family have to follow it and endure what we have.
Texas mom Jasmine Dean agrees. She has 3 children with dyslexia and says none of her kids got the full support they needed from her school district, even after she filed a complaint through the DOE's Office of Civil Rights, a division swamped with 12,000 pending investigations into civil rights violations in schools, half of which involve students with disabilities. Dean filed a complaint against her school district for discrimination.
And here we are 3 years later, 4 years later, still waiting for the results.
Her son's education, she says, was always on the line.
He has not been served through public education.
Frustrated, Dean eventually taking matters into her own hands, opening a school for kids with dyslexia. Still, the school receives some financial support from the DOE.
We need more people focused on it, not less people.
Senator Chris Van Hollen from Maine is now calling on Congress to take action on education.
Moving the special education programs out of the Department of Education and into the Department of Health and Human Services undermines the entire purpose of the IDA program in special education, which is to make sure kids with disabilities have equal opportunities.
Acknowledging under the original law, the funding goals were never fully met. He wants Congress to recommit to the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act by reintroducing it as the IDEA Full Funding Act. But what happens while parents wait for Congress to do something?
It's not entirely clear how this effect is going to shake out in every school district.
Mike Hansen is with the Brookings Institution, a nonpartisan education think tank.
Despite the president's rhetoric about giving the power back to the states, it's actually always been in state and local government's hands. Whether or not they want to follow Trump's lead on some of these policies and executive orders, or versus whether they want to be a little bit more resistant to those orders, that's going to vary by different states.
I believe that there is a place for a Department of Education. I do believe that this is an opportunity to pivot and change.
Tonight, equal access to education for students with special needs facing a critical test. Rahima Ellis, NBC News.
And thank you to Rahima for that. When we come back in tonight's breakdown, the hellish hurricane season millions of Americans could be in for, just as folks pick up the pieces of their lives from last year. We're coming on the air tonight with the showdown between the White House and Harvard taking a stunning new turn. The Trump administration blocking the university from enrolling international students. What it means for a pretty big group of students at the nation's oldest university. And is it going to hold up in court? Then the suspect in the deadly Jewish museum shooting charged with murder and could face the death penalty. The disturbing details just into us and dramatic moments at the Diddy trial. Why one witness is comparing him to a Marvel supervillain. Plus what we're just learning about the victims in that deadly plane crash in California. We're going to take you to San Diego. And just how bad is alcohol for us? The newest study out just this hour that may hold some answers later on in the show. Hey, everybody, I'm Yasmin in for Hallie tonight. And right now, a major escalation in the war between the Trump administration and the nation's oldest and wealthiest university, and that is Harvard University. The White House moving to bar Harvard from enrolling any international students, something that would be a major blow to a university where more than a quarter of the students come from outside the U.S. It is just the latest strike in this battle between the Trump administration and Harvard. I want to get you up to speed on all this. So the Trump administration made a series of demands in early April as part of their investigation into dozens of universities over allegations of anti-Semitism. Harvard rejected those demands, leading the Trump administration to pull $2 billion in federal funding. Harvard sued to get that money back, a case, by the way, that is still pending. NBC legal analyst Danny Ceballos is with us. We want to start, though, with Garrett Haake, who's at the White House for us. Garrett, the Trump administration finding another way here to push Harvard for not playing ball in their crackdown. I should say punish Harvard, their crackdown on universities. What do you see as the objective here of the administration?
Well, look, this started as a way for the administration to push Harvard on anti-Semitism and on their efforts to fight that at a number of elite universities. Harvard's commissioned a huge study. They've taken a number of steps to address that issue, but they've not taken the steps the administration wants, which includes changing their admissions policies and essentially going through and rooting out DEI programs, what Harvard believes are totally unrelated issues. Now we're in the punishment phase, essentially, with the administration pulling the plug on student visas for Harvard students. It's a big deal because, as you said, about 27% of students at Harvard are foreign students. It's something like 6,700 students all told. Harvard, by the way, says this is unlawful entirely and that they intend to fight this. They think they will be able to protect their foreign students. But it is this continuing back and forth between one of the few institutions in American life and culture that has the deep pockets and the resources and the willingness to fight the administration. They've taken them to court over another unrelated funding freeze, and it seems likely they'll do so here as well.
We had another ruling, Garrett, related today that I think we should talk about. That's this federal judge blocking the Trump administration from revoking international students' legal status. Federal judges seeming particularly against the Trump administration when it comes to their fights with universities and students. Is the White House showing any sign here of backing down?
No, not at all. That ruling could matter later for students who don't choose to transfer away from Harvard if the government tries to pull their visas. But no, the White House loves these fights with district court judges. They picked another one on an unrelated issue earlier today. And just a short time ago, the White House put out their own statement on Harvard in which they went even further, doubling down, talking about Harvard now as a hotbed of anti-Semitic, even they said, I think, pro-terrorist agitators. That's not how most people think about Harvard, but this is a fight the administration seems perfectly happy to have, Yasmin.
Garrett Haake for us. Thank you, Garrett. Appreciate it. Want to bring in Danny Ceballos to talk more about this. Let me read in part for folks this statement from Harvard University, because I think it's important kind of for the context of this conversation. And in part, they say this retaliatory action threatens serious harm to the Harvard community and our country and undermines Harvard's academic and research mission. I mean, it seems as if they're mounting yet another, as Garrett talked about as well, fight, right? They're going to take this thing all the way to the courts. Is this lawful for the government to actually do? And how strong of a case does Harvard have in defending itself?
Yasmin, as you know, I've given this legal answer many times. The answer is maybe. And I say maybe because the law does...
so frustrating when you say it like that.
I know, but bear with me. The law does allow the federal government, specifically ICE, and even more specifically a program administered by ICE, that requires, in order for colleges to take on international students, either F1 or M1 visas, they have to be certified. And the government can, in theory, take away that certification, which would mean they couldn't take international students. But they have to have a reason to do it.
Yeah.
They can't just do it arbitrarily. And that'll be the chief argument by Harvard, that this is being done in an arbitrary fashion, and they are entitled to judicial review, so they could win.
So here's the thing. If you are going up against the federal government, normally the federal government has unlimited resources, right? They can go until you get tired enough or you run out of money. They're going up against Harvard. Harvard's got a $50 billion endowment. And yes, a lot of that money is earmarked for various programs inside the university, whether it be research, faculty, so on and so forth. But nonetheless, they've got a lot of firepower behind them. Right?
They do. And in fact, this may be a case that doesn't require a lot of fact-based discovery. They might be able to go straight to the legal issues, which is, was this done properly? Does it violate due process? Does it violate the First Amendment? And does it violate the Administrative Procedures Act? Was it too arbitrary?
How quickly can something like this be instated? And what I mean by that is, if you are a foreign national attending Harvard University and you are planning to enroll come September, are you going to be able to enroll come September?
Yeah, I think we'll see two stages of answers to that question. First, we're going to see Harvard and universities file for injunctive relief, immediate restraining order type relief. That may pause this action until it can be decided on the merits, which will surely take longer.
Dana Savalas, thank you. I appreciate it. The man suspected of killing 2 Israeli embassy workers making his first appearance in federal court a short time ago, where he was charged with the murder of foreign officials, the death of a person through use of a firearm, discharge of a firearm during a crime of violence, and first-degree murder. He'll be held without bond until his preliminary hearing next month, and the interim U.S. attorney for D.C. tonight saying he could face even more charges.
We're going to continue, as I said, to investigate this as an act of terrorism and as a hate crime. And as we do so, we will bring additional charges whenever those charges are warranted and provable.
So here's what we're learning happened. Elias Rodriguez allegedly approached a group outside the Jewish Museum in D.C. after an event last night, pulling a gun and shooting a young couple at close range, killing them both. The suspect reportedly shouting, I did it, free Palestine, I did it for Gaza," before being arrested. The victims, Yaron Lashinsky and Sarah Milgram, they worked together at the Israeli embassy in Washington. And according to the Israeli ambassador, Yaron had just bought a ring, planning to get engaged next week in Jerusalem. We have got this coverage tonight. We have Danielle Hamamjin in London for us. First, though, I want to go to NBC News national law enforcement and intelligence correspondent Tom Werner to walk us through what we have learned about the suspect here and what is happening with security, not only around Washington, Tom, but here, especially in New York City as well.
Sure, Yasmin. So a couple of details we've received today through court documents or through official FBI statements. And it starts with the timeline of this. He comes to D.C. He leaves Chicago O'Hare and lands at Reagan on Tuesday. Apparently, he was here for a work conference, according to the FBI. He brought the gun with him. It was checked into his baggage. That gun, according to the ATF, was purchased back in March of 2020 by Rodriguez. And so that gun brought to D.C. He then purchased tickets to this event about 3 hours before it goes down. You're looking at the individual here, Elias Rodriguez, 31. They are in the process of trying to speak to his family, to any known associates. And so he shows up outside. He's spotted there by witnesses. And then the sequence of events of the shootings, according to the charging documents, are completely captured on tape. He passes these 2 victims, turns around, shoots both of them in the back. There is an effort by one of them to try to crawl away. He then continues to fire. I'm withholding some of the details because it's just so tragic and graphic, the information that's contained in the complaint. At some point, he runs out of ammunition. According to the charging documents, they find the magazine empty, that the slide rail is basically locked out, meaning that there was no more ammo to fire. He goes inside of this museum and there, according to the charging documents, asked to speak to a police officer and says he did it, and then proceeds to talk about how he wants this to be done because of what's happened between Hamas and Israel in their war to free Palestine, the video of which we've seen. So basically discusses the entire thing with law enforcement officers, is Mirandized, and then talks about other, in his words, martyrs, including an individual who lit himself on fire outside of the Israeli embassy earlier this year. So all of this is contained in the evidence that we've seen so far.
Tom, there was mention of a manifesto at the press conference towards the end, and any possible connection of this manifesto to the suspect. What do we know about this? Have we learned anything about the possibility, the existence of this thing and what it says?
Yeah, so the FBI is looking into it. And just so everybody understands, the FBI here, we all see these writings online. They've since been taken down. We've examined it ourselves here. The FBI needs a certain kind of evidentiary threshold. They need to be able to tie that post, through IP addresses, through phones, which they're going through, back to Rodriguez. What we do know, if it is in fact authentic and he was the one that authored it, it really says in many words what he said in the audio we heard right there. And that's his reason for doing this, is tied back again to his feelings about the Israel-Hamas war.
Tom Winterforce, we appreciate you being on this, as always, my friend. Thank you. Want to bring in Danielle Hamamdjian, who's in London for us, to talk more about the international reaction. And we talked about this last hour, but I think it's important to note kind of not only the finger pointing that comes out of events like this, but also the politicization of an event like this, especially surrounding something that has become so polarizing, the Israel-Gaza war.
Yeah, Yasmin, the shooting was widely condemned by global leaders, but as you say, it was also quickly politicized. The Israeli foreign minister said that this shooting was the result of, quote, toxic anti-Semitic incitement against Israel and Jews since October 7th. Incitement, he said, even from European leaders. Now, many would counter that by saying, look, there is a distinction between anti-Semitism and criticism of the Israeli government and its policies, particularly when it comes to Gaza. France responded by saying the accusation is unjustified and outrageous. Earlier this week, France, the UK and Canada warned Israel that it would take concrete actions if it goes ahead with the expansion of military operations in Gaza, calling the humanitarian situation intolerable. Tonight, Benjamin Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel, accused Mark Carney, Emmanuel Macron and Keir Starmer of being on the wrong side of humanity and history, pointing fingers inside Israel as well, as you mentioned, domestically. One opposition leader caused quite a controversy this week when he said that Israel was risking becoming a pariah state and that a sane country does not kill babies as a pastime. And Yasmin, this got lost in the day's events, but just yesterday there was a dramatic incident in the West Bank. The Israeli military firing warning shots at a diplomatic delegation of 32 countries. They were there to assess the humanitarian situation for Palestinians living under Israeli occupation. The IDF say they had deviated from the approved route, but as you can imagine, that triggered outrage among many in the international community. Diplomats, of course, have legal protection and immunity under international law. Yasmin.
Danielle Hamamdjian for us. Thank you, Danielle. Appreciate it. In another courtroom today, when one of the biggest names in Sean Combs' trial told the jury that he believes Combs was behind the torching of his Porsche with a Molotov cocktail. These are the images prosecutors showed in court today of Kid Cudi's car. You can see the damage there to the seat, the door, and the top of the car. Kid Cudi, whose real name is Scott Miscudi, dated Cassie Ventura over a decade ago. Miscudi and Ventura have both said their relationship prompted aggressive threats from Sean Combs. Miscudi's testimony today aimed at the racketeering charge against Combs. Prosecutors say he used his money and his power to orchestrate this big criminal enterprise in which his employees helped enable and cover up Diddy's elaborate drug-fueled sex marathons that he called, quote, freak-offs. Combs has pled not guilty to the charges and says the sexual encounters were consensual. Chloe Melas is outside court for us to talk more about this. Chloe, at one point, Miscudi compared Combs to a Marvel supervillain. A lot of major moments throughout his testimony today. Walk us through some of them.
Yeah, hey there. So I was actually in the courthouse, and that was a moment of levity in what was a very somber testimony, sobering testimony. And at one point, Kid Cudi, like you said, when he went to go meet Sean Combs to talk about how both of them were dating Cassie at the same time, unbeknownst to both of them, after this alleged break-in at his house, after Combs allegedly orchestrated for a Molotov cocktail to be thrown into his car, causing it to explode. He says he met him at Soho House, which is a very popular members-only club in L.A. And when he walked in, Combs was looking out the window with his arms behind his back, and he looked like a Marvel supervillain. So it was in that moment that everyone in the courtroom started to laugh. But otherwise, he did say that he truly believes that Combs broke into his home and also, again, was behind the explosion in his car, although Combs' legal team really pushing back, saying, what concrete evidence do you have? I do want you to listen to a little bit of what Kid Cudi posted today, or posted on X. Take a listen.
This is a stressful situation. I'm glad it's behind me. And, yeah, I love y'all, man.
Yeah, so I mean, like, you're hearing from him in his own words today, and he, was very strong on the stand, very likable. It was clear that he didn't understand how it works in a federal court, that this was like probably one of his first times, if ever, maybe his first time testifying, because he would give these long answers and the judge would have to tell him, like, listen, you really got to like stick to what the prosecutors or stick to what the defense team is asking you. But yeah, I mean, that's really the first time that we've heard him speak publicly. For him to take to social media today is actually quite surprising.
I know some other witnesses testified today as well, including people that worked for Sean Combs. What did they have to say?
So we heard from his former executive assistant this morning who said that, look, I'm actually torn to be here right now. I wanted to plead the fifth, but prosecutors, they issued a subpoena. So I had to come down here and I had to testify. And he talked about how he actually quit working for Combs after two instances, one that took place on an airplane in which he says that he felt as though Combs was being violent with Ventura, breaking glasses on the plane and screaming at her, although he didn't actually see visible injuries on Ventura or Combs actually strike her. He also talked about another instance at Combs' Miami residence in which he threw decorative apples at a woman he was dating at the time named Gina. And we've also heard from a hotel employee, a makeup artist, and we're expecting to hear from some other individuals when the trial resumes on Tuesday.
Certainly much more to come from this. Clay Malas, thank you. All right, new details tonight about who was on board the small plane that crashed into a San Diego neighborhood. A music industry agent now confirmed to be amongst those killed. A spokesperson for Sound Talent Group confirming to us tonight that its co-founder, Dave Shapiro, and two other employees have in fact now died. No one on the ground of this chaotic scene appears to be amongst the victims. The roofs of several homes collapsed, cars along the street completely charred. People forced to evacuate in the middle of the night.
Come on, let's go! Let's go!
A terrifying scene. You see the flames over homes in that video as people try to make it out alive. Here is what we know. The incident was reported just before 4 a.m., around the time it was supposed to land. The plane was a Cessna 550. It had been flying through some dense fog before crashing. 8 people on the ground were injured. Liz Kreutz is in San Diego following all the details for us. And, we use the word miraculous here because it is, in fact, miraculous that nobody on the ground actually died from this plane crashing into the homes around where you're standing right now. Walk us through, Liz, some of the damage that you have been seeing since you've been there and what actually happened, why this plane crashed, what we know.
Yeah, well, Yasmin, it's just as you described. There is a lot of damage to homes, multiple cars up in flames. This home behind me here, sort of blocked by the fire truck, is the home that the plane crashed into. The NTSB has been on scene here now trying to figure out what happened. We've seen firefighters as well in there trying to comb through the home as they make sense of what caused this plane to crash. As you mentioned, it happened in the middle of the night around 3:45 this morning. And the NTSB is looking into whether it clipped, or they say it did clip, a power line as it was trying to make its descent into a small airport here. And a big question is whether the weather was a factor. They say that it was extremely foggy, this dense fog with limited visibility that played a role here. But what we know, at least 2 people confirmed dead, according to the fire department. The FAA now saying that 6 people are believed to have been on the plane, and officials say they don't believe, sadly, that there are any survivors. But the true miracle here is the fact that nobody here on the ground was killed. Even the family that was inside that home when this happened, they were able to escape safely.
Yeah, unbelievable. And I'm sure more details will be emerging as the investigation continues. Liz Kreutz for us. Thank you. Appreciate it. We got all eyes turning towards the Senate tonight to push through President Trump's so-called big, beautiful agenda bill that squeezed through the House by just 1 vote. Senators say they're definitely going to make some changes to the mega bill, which could lead to more clashes inside the Republican Party. And things could get dicey here because any changes that the senators make, they would have to get approval in the House. House Republicans already made changes to things like Medicaid work requirements, quicker phasing out of clean energy tax credits, raising the cap on that state and local tax deduction known as SALT. And it's not just the Democrats that are unhappy with the bill. You've also got the bond market. It's a key bellwether for our economy. It's been getting pretty rattled. The bill could raise national debt by, get this, more than $2 trillion, 2.3 to be exact. We're going to get into what that could mean for you and your money in a second with NBC's Brian Chung. We want to start, though, with Mel Zanona, who's on Capitol Hill for us. So this is now headed towards the Senate. What is the timeline here looking like in terms of getting it passed and back to the president's desk?
Yeah, the House is really speeding to get this bill through the chamber before the Memorial Day recess. But in the Senate, Republicans are already saying they want to pump the brakes. They have not had their own committee markups or hearings on this bill. They have their own ideas and own constituencies that they're looking out for. There's also a lot more concern amongst Republicans in the Senate about Medicaid cuts and about the repeals of the clean energy tax credits. Just take a listen to Republican Senator Josh Hallie.
The Senate's going to want to put its own stamp on this. We'll write our own version of the bill. I talked to the president about this last night, and his instructions were pretty clear. Don't cut Medicaid. He also said he'd like to see the carried interest loophole closed. So there's two pieces of instruction I think would be good for Senate drafters as they really get working on it.
Now, in terms of an actual timeline, Speaker Mike Johnson has said he would like to get this bill, the final bill, to President Donald Trump's desk by the July 4th holiday. However, that is a mostly arbitrary and self-imposed deadline, and one that Republican senators have already dismissed as unrealistic. The only real deadline is really mid-August. That is when the nation will reach its borrowing limit. And the reason why that's important is because one of the many provisions in this massive bill would lift the debt ceiling by $4 trillion. So the senators actually have all summer to figure this out. We expect they're going to take their time and really try to put their own stamp on this product.
All right, Mel Zanona for us. Thank you. Appreciate it. I want to get to Brian Chung now with more. And I talked about here kind of the bond markets, right? We know Wall Street, we know the White House. They pay a lot of attention to the bond markets. And we've seen a lot of turmoil with the economy, especially when it comes to trade. Do you see this kind of throwing yet another wrench into the economy?
Yeah, well, you know, with the stock market, we've recuperated basically all of the losses since Liberation Day. So on an equities front, we're all right. But the bond market is now getting a lot of attention because bond yields are higher than they were even when the president flinched on his tariff policies. Now, I want to point out that without getting into the 101 of all of this, basically when bond yields go up, that means that the bond price is down. The bond price is down because people don't want it as much. So basically with U.S. Treasuries, which is the debt that we sell to the rest of the world, that appetite hasn't been there as of late because of these concerns over whether or not the United States over the long term can pay their bills, as underscored no further than the downgrade that we saw from Moody's ratings just last week, where they said that the U.S. fiscal performance is likely to deteriorate relative to other countries. So again, it's the concern over the U.S. debt that is big, that is part of that, especially when you consider this bill that is going to further add to the fiscal debt in what is supposed to be an administration that was going to be more aggressive with DOGE in cutting back on these things. I think that the overall Wall Street feel is even in a Republican administration like this one, they can't lower the debt with a bill like this, then what administration?
Well, and that's why I even think about the messaging, right? If you're increasing the debt by $2 trillion, considering what they came in when it comes to the messaging of what was actually going to happen to the economy versus what they're actually doing. And then we talk about the effects, right? And as Mel actually pointed out, that there's a possibility 8 million or so Americans could feasibly lose their access to health insurance. How could this affect the wallets? How could this affect our pocketbooks?
Yeah, well, I mean, we touched on health insurance, but again, this is a big bill, right? So that's part of the branding. There are other provisions as well. I think a big one that is a big focus among Republicans that also underscores the divide is the SALT tax deduction. So you talk about $40,000. That would be the proposed cap. Right now, it's at $10,000. That would be very impactful for people that live in high tax areas because it's state and local tax deductions. So you can deduct more if you're getting taxed more. So in areas like New Jersey and California, that would be a lot more impactful. There's also this proposal to eliminate taxes on tips and overtime, increasing the child tax credit. They also want to end some of these clean energy tax breaks that were passed by the Biden administration under the Inflation Reduction Act. There are a lot of different provisions here, but of course, as Melanie pointed out, there's still some ways to go before this actually becomes law. So could anything change between now and then? That is an open question.
I think we've had kind of this repeated conversation in which a lot of Democrats will hope that, yes, voters remember what happens when they go to the polls, but that is so many months out. And do they actually have kind of the long-term memory to stick with?
And real quickly, the CBO does say that when it comes to who would benefit from this, actually household resources would be down 4% for the lowest earners, but up 2% for the highest earners. That's worth noting as well.
Got it. Ryan Chung, thank you. Appreciate it. All right, still to come on the show, it's the busiest Memorial Day travel season in 2 decades, and we're live at the airport. We're going to go look at what's going on there and pinch your pennies because they're going to be gone soon. Find out why next. America is about to mark the busiest Memorial Day travel weekend in 2 decades, according to AAA. More than 45 million people will fly or drive starting today through next Tuesday. But if you're one of the millions of Americans heading out today, you could run into some issues. We're talking about those air traffic controller shortages and having your real ID if you're flying out, which, by the way, I forgot last week when I was flying out. And what's more, airports getting hit with ground stops because of weather. Remember, there's a nor'easter slamming the East Coast with some heavy, wet snow in the forecast for some states. Maya Eaglin is live for us at LaGuardia International Airport to talk more about all of this. Let's talk about concerns here. What are folks worried about?
Yasmin, I think the biggest concern is really getting to your destination safely and on time. And that on time part is going to be tricky because of that severe weather that you mentioned. Here at LaGuardia, there was even a ground stop due to low ceilings and terrible flying conditions earlier that's delayed a lot of flights. According to the FAA, though, most travelers are actually going to be driving. The best time to drive today would have been actually before 12 p.m. On Friday, experts say if you can get on the roads before 11, you should be good. If you drive tomorrow, you want to do that until, I'm sorry, the worst time to drive tomorrow is actually until 9 p.m. And on Friday, 12 to 8, you want to avoid traffic. Gas prices are also a bit lower this year, which is good. Take a listen to my conversation with one passenger and her advice for other people coming through the airport today.
Do all your check-ins and all your everything that you need to do online on your phone, whatever you can do to make it smoother yourself, make sure you do that. Because the airlines are sometimes short. We get frustrated, but everybody has to get where they're going. So let's make it safe and, fast for everybody.
The FAA says that today is actually the busiest day for air travel with over 54,000 flights scheduled. Yasmin?
How are airports bracing? TSA, obviously, how are they bracing for the influx of travelers? And, Maya, are people remembering their real IDs? Because, real quick, last week I was traveling and I forgot my real ID, and it certainly held me up for some time.
Yeah, according to the TSA, we're hearing that at least 90% of travelers have either their real ID or another valid form of ID. You can also bring your passport if you don't have one of those. They're also recommending people come to the airport 2 or 3 hours before their flight times. And that's, again, because of these record-breaking numbers. Take a look at this. 45 million expected travelers this year. That's breaking 2005's record of 44 million travelers. 87% of those, nearly 40 million people, are traveling by car, 8% by plane. You want to remember, if you're packing sunscreen or bug spray on your carry-on, that has to be under 3.4 ounces. And of course, again, that real ID or passport. Yasmin?
Maya Eaglin for us. Thank you. Appreciate it. And I will remember next time. All right. Want to get you over to the 5 things our team thinks you should know about tonight. Number 1, we're learning as we've been on the air that the man suspected of a car bombing outside a fertility clinic in Southern California had, quote, access to large quantities of commercially available chemical products that, when combined, could make a homemade explosive device. That's according to a statement from the FBI. 4 people were hurt and the suspect died in the attack over the weekend. Number 2, look at this. Deadly flash floods pummeling Australia's southeast coast right now. The flooding already killing at least 3 people so far and leaving tens of thousands stranded. And the worst still possibly yet to come, with officials there warning of more devastating rain for at least another 24. At number 3, Italy's top court ruling today. Lesbian couples who use IVF can both be recognized as parents, even if one parent is not the biological mother. The ruling reversing an earlier law which barred both mothers from registering legally as parents. And number 4, Oklahoma is not moving forward with launching the school's first religious public charter school after the Supreme Court reached a deadlock. The court splitting the vote 4-4 after Justice Barrett decided to sit out. This means that the Oklahoma Supreme Court's ruling stands, which says that the school would violate the Constitution. And number 5, if you still have some pennies, pinch them, because the Treasury Department just ordered its last batch of them as they move to stop making the coin altogether. Remember, President Trump said he wanted to stop printing the penny to cut down government spending. All right, a new report out just released this hour showing that cancer deaths related to alcohol have doubled in the last 3 decades. At the same time, U.S. cancer deaths overall have fallen by about 35%, according to the American Cancer Society. The alcohol-related cancers are specifically breast, liver, colorectal, and various oral cancers. One oncologist, putting it bluntly, saying this is really driving home the point that people are dying from cancer due to alcohol. Dr. Natalie Azar is joining us now. This is astounding to me, I got to say, and it kind of caused a lot of kerfuffle in the newsroom as we were discussing this, because everybody has kind of this baseline risk of developing cancer. Mm-hmm. The question is how much, right? So when we're thinking and talking about alcohol and how much we should actually be consuming, is it 0?
Well, the short answer is if you don't want alcohol to increase your personal risk of cancer, you would need to abstain from alcohol completely. At least for breast cancer, we know as little as 1 to 2 drinks a week can increase a woman's risk.
1 to 2?
Yeah. Yeah. Which, when that news started coming out a couple of years ago, I mean, I think we all sort of went, oh, really?
Yeah.
You know, because we all...
Another thing.
Exactly. But certainly, you know, the amount can and does correlate with risk. So the heavier drinkers are obviously at a much greater risk, let's say, for liver cancer and things like that. But sadly, even a small amount can increase the risk, especially for breast.
But what's interesting to me also is all of the studies and the stories that we have done in the past about, for instance, the positive effects of drinking red wine, right? 1 glass of red wine, it's good for your cardiovascular health. It's good for your health, for your heart health. Is there a difference between the type of alcohol, for instance, that one is consuming?
So no, and just to be clear about the whole idea that alcohol could actually promote cardiovascular health, I think that's kind of, we've moved away from that.
Right.
And debunked that, I think, to a fairly good degree at this point, that no cardiologist is going to say start drinking red wine to improve your cardiovascular health. Sure, there might be some things like resveratrol and certain antioxidants that could be beneficial, but the risk doesn't outweigh that benefit. In terms of what type of alcohol, no, it doesn't matter. A serving of alcohol is a serving of alcohol, whether it's a spirit or beer or wine. It doesn't have to do with what alcohol you drink. It has to do with the amount of alcohol you drink.
Okay, so you also talked about breast cancer. 1 to 2 drinks possibly could raise your risk of developing breast cancer, but I mentioned colorectal cancer, for instance, liver cancer as well. Is there a disparity between men and women and the amount of consumption?
Yeah, there is. Generally speaking, women tend to experience the negative health effects of alcohol more significantly than men do. Now, what's interesting about this, though, is that this, you know, twice the amount of deaths related to alcohol use, the predominant group that was seen for this was men versus women, as well as people over the age of 55. And the reason really is that it takes decades for this to happen, right? And men traditionally were the bigger drinkers than women, but unfortunately women in general will suffer the negative health effects of alcohol more than men do.
So if you're recommending to your patient what to do, what do you say?
I say that each person has to do their own risk assessment. If you're trying to do absolutely every single solitary thing you can to reduce your risk of cancer, then you're not going to drink alcohol. If you're one of those people who says everything in moderation, and I'm hoping that my healthy diet and my exercise is what I tell myself, offsets some of that risk.
I tell myself.
These are decisions you have to make.
Yeah,
in
and how
your
much
life.
stress you have in your life.
Yeah, all those things.
You want to do on a Friday night. Okay.
Exactly.
Dr. Natalie Azar, thank you. Appreciate it. All right, when we come back, the wild video showing the moment a driver crashed into a gas station to get away from cops. Plus how a wedding dress found its way home after getting lost in a tornado. In just the last hour, President Trump and Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. speaking at the White House after the release of the Make America Healthy Again report.
As we mark a historic milestone in our mission to make America healthy again, Ma has become hot.
The report digs deep into what the problems are while not really providing a ton of solutions, with Secretary Kennedy painting a bleak picture, writing, quote, "Today's children are the sickest generation in American history," and saying we've got a crisis of chronic disease in kids because of ultra-processed foods, chemical exposures, lack of physical activity, stress, and excessive use of prescription drugs. Yamisha Sindor is joining us now with more on this. Yamisha, it's great to see you. The report, it casts doubt also on the current vaccine schedule and medications deemed safe by most in mainstream medicine. Were there any solutions offered in this report?
Well, it's a key question. What we know is that this was a 69-page report, and our team at NBC News combed through it. And what they found was that it outlined a number of problems. As you said, ultra-processed food, too much of a sedentary lifestyle, they said, is contributing to children being sick. They also talked about the fact that there needs to be more looked at when it comes to prescription drugs and how they're being prescribed. That being said, it was very light on concrete solutions. And part of that is because RFK said there is now going to be another report in about 100 days laying out actual solutions and action items and recommendations. But the interesting thing there is that the health secretary is also saying that there's no budget for this initiative. So if he does actually even come out with these actions, which again, he did not do really in this report, it's a big question of how the government would pay for any of the things that it recommends, given the fact that while the White House and congressional Republicans are putting through this now multi-trillion-dollar bill through Congress, they're not clear where they're going to get the money for these actual health issues here. Yasmin.
I also understand there was an interesting back and forth at the White House briefing this afternoon as well from someone that we all know quite well.
There was a very interesting back and forth. The White House has instituted this seat called the New Media Seat. And today we had Jillian Michaels there. She, of course, is a celebrity fitness expert and was co-host of NBC's The Biggest Loser. Take a listen to her exchange with the White House press secretary.
As a Maha mom yourself, how do you interpret the significance of this report in terms of delivering measurable health improvements for Americans and their kids, and what specific actions does the administration plan to take in response to it?
Sure. Well, thank you for the question. When the president took office, he promised to make this country healthy again. And the president signed an executive order directing this commission. And now, less than 100 days later, the commission is delivering this report. It's another promise made and another promise kept.
So, a lot of people come through the White House, and today it was Jillian Michaels. Yasmin.
Jillian Michaels, a new person every day, it seems. Yamisha Sindor for us. Thank you. Appreciate it. Someone who's a constant at the White House these days. All right, NBC covers hundreds of stories every day. And because it's tough to read, watch, or listen to all of them, our bureau teams have done it for you. This is what they tell us is going down in their regions in a segment that we call The Local. From our Western Bureau, look at this. A driver in Colorado crashing into a gas station parking lot while trying to flee from police. Police say the driver was out of jail on bond for an unrelated crime. 3 people inside the car were taken to the hospital, with 1 seriously hurt. The driver was charged with a DUI. From our Southeast Bureau, a woman in Kentucky just found her missing wedding dress after her home was destroyed by a deadly tornado. A neighbor somehow found the dress a couple of blocks away, and miraculously, it's okay. The owner says the dress is now so much more meaningful since she lost her home. From our Northeast Bureau, take a look. Firefighters in Connecticut rescuing baby kittens stuck in a storm drain. You can see the little guys right here. We don't know how they got there. Thankfully, the kittens are safe and getting treated by a local vet. Coming up in tonight's original, the parents who have new fears over their children's future because of major cuts at the Department of Education. All right, to tonight's original now, with in-depth reporting on a topic that we have been watching tonight. It's education. With a federal judge blocking the Trump administration from dismantling the Department of Education and ordering that fired employees be reinstated, the White House says it's going to appeal the ruling. As this court fight plays out, some parents of students with special needs worry that without the DOE's funding and support, their children's future are on the line. NBC's Rahima Ellis has more.
Education is under attack.
Across the country, anxiety is growing. as President Trump pushes to shut down the Department of Education.
I will sign an executive order to begin eliminating the Federal Department of Education once and for all.
It's particularly unsettling for parents of the 7.5 million special needs students nationwide, all who rely on the federal government to provide supplemental funds and oversight of how states and local school districts use those dollars to help educate children in need.
A lot of parents are scrambling right now to figure out where they stand. They're not really sure what's going to happen from here.
It's really scary for parents.
Nobody really knows how the dust is going to settle on this.
Trump recently announcing the DOE's special needs program would be moved to the Department of Health and Human Services, raising more concern because that department fired 10,000 workers.
Employees turned away, told they no longer had jobs.
New Jersey mom Megan Beerley's daughter is dyslexic.
Dismantling the oversight that oversees these things and provides protections for our children. It's really scary to just have that ripped out from under us.
Her family spent thousands of dollars putting her daughter through testing, then transferring her to 2 different private schools specializing in children with disabilities.
When I look at kind of this journey and the cost of it all, I'm not willing to let go of this and have another family have to follow it and endure what we have.
Texas mom Jasmine Dean agrees. She has 3 children with dyslexia and says none of her kids got the full support they needed from her school district, even after she filed a complaint through the DOE's Office of Civil Rights, a division swamped with 12,000 pending investigations into civil rights violations in schools, half of which involve students with disabilities. Dean filed a complaint against her school district for discrimination.
And here we are 3 years later, 4 years later, still waiting for the results.
Her son's education, she says, was always on the line.
He has not been served through public education.
Frustrated, Dean eventually taking matters into her own hands, opening a school for kids with dyslexia. Still, the school receives some financial support from the DOE.
We need more people focused on it, not less people.
Senator Chris Van Hollen from Maine is now calling on Congress to take action on education.
Moving the special education programs out of the Department of Education and into the Department of Health and Human Services undermines the entire purpose of the IDA program in special education, which is to make sure kids with disabilities have equal opportunities.
Acknowledging under the original law, the funding goals were never fully met. He wants Congress to recommit to the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act by reintroducing it as the IDEA Full Funding Act. But what happens while parents wait for Congress to do something?
It's not entirely clear how this effect is going to shake out in every school district.
Mike Hansen is with the Brookings Institution, a nonpartisan education think tank.
Despite the president's rhetoric about giving the power back to the states, it's actually always been in state and local government's hands. Whether or not they want to follow Trump's lead on some of these policies and executive orders, or versus whether they want to be a little bit more resistant to those orders, that's going to vary by different states.
I believe that there is a place for a Department of Education. I do believe that this is an opportunity to pivot and change.
Tonight, equal access to education for students with special needs facing a critical test. Rahima Ellis, NBC News.
And thank you to Rahima for that. When we come back in tonight's breakdown, the hellish hurricane season millions of Americans could be in for, just as folks pick up the pieces of their lives from last year. It's that time of year again, guys. NOAA today announcing the forecast for what's to come this hurricane season. And it's expected to be a busy one. Officials predicting a better than not chance this season will be above average, meaning there could be between 13 to 19 storms, 3 to 5 of those potentially turning into major hurricanes, just like what we saw last year. The deadly Hurricane Hallie that left parts of the South unrecognizable even months later. Many communities still pleading for federal help with recovery efforts as they see proposals they fear could hurt in the next storm. NBC's Kathy Park went to Asheville to check in and has more.
The damage from Hurricane Helene in parts of North Carolina was so unprecedented,
8 months later, some places around Asheville still look like a disaster zone, and the lives here still in limbo question support from the federal government while sounding the alarm over proposed budget cuts.
So we're 18 feet
from the floor,
and
the water line's there.
Areas like this that would normally be bustling are eerily quiet and empty.
This parking lot would be full. It's May, so we'd be ramping up for the summer, which the summer is our major hitter.
Jacqueline and Mark Oliver own a communal space and gallery for woodworkers in the River Arts District, a corner of the community struggling to recover.
what are some of the biggest challenges right now as far as getting folks back into this space?
We can't open on an island, so we need infrastructure to get, we need plumbing, we need water, we need all of these things that are out of our control.
We're going to get you the resources you need and the support that you deserve, and we'll be at your side through every step of the rebuilding, and no American is going to be left behind.
President Trump made those comments in January as he toured the area in one of his very first trips after the inauguration. But recently, FEMA announced an end to its 100% disaster recovery reimbursement for the state. Now it's 90%. An official from FEMA telling us in a statement the typical assistance is 75%, and that, quote, President Trump turbocharged the federal relief aid process to speed up delivering resources to those impacted by Helene and supporting their recovery. Governor Josh Stein appealed, his office saying he's still pushing for the full 100% match and that it will cost the state $200 million without it.
We're not in a game. This is life. And you're playing with our livelihood. Government is talking while people are working.
But it's not just funding for Helene's recovery that concerns people here.
We'll have a look at local news for you.
They fear critical tools for the next disaster are also on the chopping block.
It's roughly $330,000.
Laura Lee is a news director for Blue Ridge Public Radio, BPR.
Roughly 8 to 9% of our budget comes from the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. So if that goes away, we have a layered financial problem.
This month, President Trump signed an executive order targeting cuts to NPR funding. But during Hurricane Helene, Asheville's BPR became a lifeline.
BPR's Laura Hackett spent time yesterday speaking with residents of Asheville waiting in line at grocery stores and water distribution sites.
We went from a news service right into public service, and most of our airtime was spent just helping people connect with things they didn't have. I mean, water, medicine, diapers, food.
Floodwaters and mud cut off entire communities, but the loss of power and communications left thousands in the dark.
So you really had to take your life into your own hands.
Shelly Anderson and her neighbors managed to stay connected the old-fashioned way.
If you don't have it charged up, you've got to crank it to get it to start.
A hand crank radio tuned to BPR.
I literally didn't want to hear anything else. I just wanted to hear, like, what's happening.
The White House press release around Trump's executive order says NPR and PBS have fueled partisanship and left-wing propaganda with taxpayer dollars, which is highly inappropriate. We reached out to the White House for comment and have not heard back. NPR's CEO responding to the order saying it's unwavering in our commitment to integrity and editorial independence and will vigorously defend our right to provide essential news, information, and life-saving services to the American public. The Corporation for Public Broadcasting also pushing back against Trump's order and tells NBC News it doesn't think the tax and spending bill the U.S. House just passed addresses CPB funding.
If you had an opportunity to say something to the administration right now, given the circumstances, what would you say?
I mean, I would say you could come visit us again. I mean, just see how much work there is to be done. The longer you wallow in this, it's more businesses are having to close their doors. We just need help, and we need cooperative help, all working together.
As the community struggles to recover from a historic disaster, calls for help still ring out.
And I've been back to Asheville several times since the disaster, and with each visit, I'm struck by just how much help is still needed. For example, the historic Biltmore Village, the main hotel there, reopened just a couple of days ago while surrounding restaurants and businesses are still closed. So this week, Governor Josh Stein has asked the General Assembly for $891 million to address the urgent needs, but also to offer some sort of stability with all this insecurity with federal funding. Yasmin?
It's really important to revisit the places that have been struck by these natural disasters, to continue to remind folks what they're actually dealing with every single day and to continue to deal with. Kathy Park Forrest, thank you. Appreciate it. That is a wrap for this hour, everybody. Coverage picks up right now.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.